Hi, this is Polly, and sometimes I act silly and goofy because that's the mood I'm in, and sometimes I'm very serious because that's the mood I'm in. Right now I'm very serious, probably because I just reread an email that I had sent to a friend a little earlier in the day. It was about what happened to me at the hospital, how the nurses and doctor and the psychiatrist and the psychiatric emergency services worker treated me. I'm going to read what I wrote, and I almost wish that I didn't have a visual image up because I don't want to distract you while I read. So please do your best to ignore my mug and just pay attention to my voice and the words that I say. Okay. It's 2 paragraphs. When a hospital uses their power to abuse or to prevent people from getting proper treatment, the individual is screwed. The hospital has tremendous power when you think about it. If you take them off, it's time to move to another town under the governance of a different hospital. If that would even work. I feel like I'm nearly at that point. The ER is a terribly unsafe place for me, at least emotionally and psychologically. But any attempt I might make to balance the scales, to secure safer medical care, wouldn't necessarily be any safer at all. When people are called out on their abuse of power, or when their power is threatened, they will retaliate. People in power can do whatever they want. Sure, at some point they might meet up with consequences pertaining to such decisions, but that would be way beyond the point that any of the little guys should dare to tread. I guess what I'm saying is, I fear the abuse of power that our hospital is exerting over me. They can refuse to treat without technically refusing to treat. It's all about the character of the people who work there. Not just the guys at the top either, but even the lowliest assistant nurse who was given the authority to say no. I'm just lamenting the way our world works and the utter lack of influence that I have in doing anything about it. When those nurses tied me down, not that I haven't been locked in restraints before, they were already acting outside the boundaries of both moral and political law. When they accused me of spitting on them, just for choking on my spit and having it come out my mouth, I knew they were dancing on the edge of truth and interpretation. And I was afraid that things would escalate to the point that they would deem themselves justified in suffocating me. I know that sounds ludicrous, but that was a real fear for me at the time. They were all supporting each other's aggressive, exceedingly aggressive behavior, had built each other up out in the main room in a game of jeering at me, which I think was condoned by a doctor there. He was making fun of me for my vocal tics. They were mimicking the sounds I was making and laughing at me. And they were emboldened enough not to care that I heard them. It seemed to be quickly escalating into a her versus them situation, or actually a her versus us situation. People feel a sense of empowerment and a lack of culpability when in a group. That's the thing about group dynamics. Terrible things sometimes happen when groups of people cross what appear to be very insignificant lines. We were just making fun of her. We were just making fun of her. She got a little out of control. We were just doing our job. The next day, everywhere I went, I wondered if every person I saw might not be one of those 7 or 8 people who had tied me down. There wasn't an ounce of humanity amongst them. Not 1 ounce. And the CMH worker, Jim, joined right in when he got there. That's all I got.